Welcome back to my channel. Hi everybody, this is me. Thanks for joining me. Anyway, this is a collab with CourtsPlans on YouTube. This is my 5th bajillionth time to do this video. It kept cutting in half. I don't know, it's like it doesn't want, like something out there doesn't want me to do this. But anyway, I'm doing this. So this video is about planner piece and what I think it means and how you can find it, or help you feel better about not having it yet. Okay, and I'm going to do that by sharing my experience and what I've done to be happy. So I'm going to go ahead and give you my main point, and I'm not going to be able to flip through all my planners and stuff. This is really just to talk about planner piece, so hopefully it's not a long video. But anyway, planner piece to me is basically finding your functionality in your planner and being joyful about it and feeling like you don't have to, feeling like you don't have anxiety over it not working. So functionally joyful. That's why I find you may have planner piece. Whether it's through one planner, 10 planners, it doesn't matter. If you feel and you know it is working for you and doesn't stress you out in any shape and form, then that is planner piece. Now, here's the thing. Planner piece is going to evolve with your life. Your needs are going to change. Your job may change. Your family may grow. Your anxiety may get worse. You need to track it. It's changing and constantly evolving, just like you as a human being. So I'm going to share some examples of it and where the things I found planner piece, and then taking where I was most grounded and peaceful and tying it into creating a new piece. So let's start. My biggest planner piece ever has well, at least in the past years, has grown into a B6 stalogy. I was the most grounded in this. I find what works for me, and I even mentioned in the past videos that I always go back to a basic book and pen when I get stressed out about planning, because that's where I'm able to like really find what I need, and I design my needs. And if you look, it stays fairly simple. It's not like it's all these crazy graphs and stuff, although you're about to see some spiral dexes. But I think the creativity of planning for me, or doing it myself, is part of my piece. Okay, it's part of me being joyful with my planning. I have come to terms with that, which means that when I go into rings, which I'll get to that in a second, I'm not as joyful with it. And I'm starting to recognize that. And the thing about the planning community, and if you have an obsession with planning like I do, or with planners, you've really got to ask yourself if you want to go down that rabbit hole. But it's going to happen anyway if you're even slightly curious about planning in general. My biggest thing when I started is that my obsession was more material at first. I've always loved planning. Like, I always had a planner ever since I was very, very young. But it was always like an agenda, a basic agenda. And if you're a newcomer, I highly suggest doing something that simple to really get into the swing of planning, and then branch out slowly, but keeping it very simple. Don't fall into the hole of like all the goodies. Stick with pen and paper first. That's what I would suggest. Anyway, so my B6 was really, even some of you mentioned you seem so grounded. Akio especially was like, you just seem so happy and grounded in the B6. You can see where I'm at peace with this. Now, I'm going to say that I agree. I was very much in peace. I have transitioned out of the B6 a little bit now. It's changed. The use of this planner has changed. And my point to that is that, and proof here is that we do evolve. And I love material items such as leathers and things like that. And because I started my planning with more of how things looked per se, that it took me a while and a lot of practice to get to the actual functional part. So me finding planner piece isn't coming until now, really. But I have planner piece amongst a couple of different planners, okay? You're never gonna find true like solid piece because it's not meant to be like that. Like I mentioned, everything evolves. It's gonna be constantly changing. It's where you're at right now, okay, and how you feel right now. If something doesn't work for you, change it, take it out. So I'm gonna kind of go over a little bit. This has started changing. I started getting to the end. I made it all the way, you guys. I'm so proud of myself. First time ever completing a whole book ever in my life. So I'm very, very proud. But the use of it changed, okay? Because to me, planners and books have their own souls. That may sound crazy, but they have their own energy. And I feel like each one wants to be used a certain way. So, for example, this, to me, Stalogy is very freeing and open and loves the writing and drawing. It's more of like, I find myself being a lot more creative in here and writing more. And I love that. Now, it was very functional for me as well, but it was simple. And for me, I realized that planner piece has to come with a bit of simplicity. Now, I was a ring girl for quite some time before I went to the B6. And I was constantly changing covers and inserts. And sorry that my cats are playing on the table. Sorry, guys. If it shakes, it's them. And I'm realizing now it's because I was searching for something that was too structured. And I'll prove that to you because this planner I do love and I've used it and it makes sense to me, but you'll see the difference. Like, I will say the similarities in all the planners. If you change planners a lot, look for the similarities. That's where you're most at peace, are with things that you tie through each and every planner. I don't think it necessarily has to do with the size or the type of planner, but it has to do with the contents and the functionality of your planner. And for example, a lot of times I may switch covers, but my guts will stay the same. The insides will stay the same. If it works, why change it? Or if you need to add something or tweak it, do it. Also, if you don't have money to buy all the fancy inserts, work with what you have, and I guarantee you may find peace in that. Just like everything in life, you kind of have to work at it, and planner peace doesn't just come naturally. You've got to be with it peace with your system and with yourself, I truly feel, to find that peace. So in all the things that are consistent in all my planners are an inbox or a note brain dump type book, a monthly, and a blank daily, like a dot grid daily. That with nothing else. That's my most consistent thing in a planner. And to be honest, that's all I honestly need. All the other stuff is fluff. So I know what my basic needs are, and that's where you find peace. Okay? And I do need a structured weekly. I've realized that too. But it needs to not be too intense. It needs to be pretty simple. Simplicity for me in a planner is more peaceful. Now with this, you're gonna see anything but simplicity. I've got my monthly here, and then I have my Bible section, which is simple, and I was completely in peace with this. It's just blank pages and a week on 2 page for my Bible challenges. See, just notes, simple. I will admit that because there's so many awesome inserts out there being created, that it's very easy to fall into that rabbit hole, and that's where I made a lot of my mistakes, or where a lot of my stress came from, because I find that it's okay, Allie, I'll be with you in a second, sweetie. That's very sweet, honey. That's where I found I start getting anxious. Unfortunately, I'm finding myself getting more and more anxious in rings when I start adding all these extra inserts. This weekly is great. It's simple but structured enough for everything I need. I can turn this section into anything I want. I can break this down into 2 separate sections. I can do a lot with this insert. It's when I start adding an extra insert like this. This is functional. It has its uses, but because it's just, that's just a lot. Do I truly need all these things? If I were to turn this into a mood tracker, yeah, that'd be good. But I shouldn't do that if I already have a mood tracker that works great in the back. So my point is, you can find planner piece, but you've got to work with it. And starting simple is the best way to do that. And it's going to constantly change. I wouldn't get overwhelmed or upset if all of a sudden you don't have peace anymore. That's okay. You had peace. You were happy. But now your peace needs to change. You need to find your peace in something else. There's something missing or from your system, because it's within you, truly. So for me, I'm using my rings a little bit until I completely set up my pocket TN with everything I absolutely need. But as of right now, I have absolutely everything I need. The only thing I'm lacking really is some of my tracking, but I'm just doing that in here for now. So that brings me to another point, that you actually can have peace amongst multiple planners. Like I mentioned, it's all about the use of your planners and how you feel about it. No one else can tell you if you have planner peace or not. It's really, truly up to you. So right now, I really love pocket size TNs. I don't know why. This one especially, the cover itself, like, I've stuck with it and haven't. I only have one other, and if I were to give up one, it'd be the other and not this. I've used this for so many different things, and I'm very happy that I'm using it, but it is used with bound books, which, as you saw, my stayology was my very grounding for me. So I wanted to incorporate these 2 types of planning into one. Because of my arthritis and back issues, I really wanted to downsize a bit, and plus you guys were stuck in home too. But there is no harm in changing sizes. It's really, like I mentioned, the system. Okay? So this is a very simple setup, but the functionality and my inserts are very similar. For example, the first book it's like my catch-all notes inbox, and it's just blank. I just write in it like this, and I'm super happy with it. And then I have like my month overview, and then here I've got where I can put the date of important dates, and then I have the monthly here on 2 pages, just basic. This is important to me, and it's color coded. But this I've used in my planner in pretty much every setup, except in this past rings I chose to do the monthly on like a 1 page, but it's truly 2 because you have the space on the side for each day, the perpetual one, to write in the stuff for the block. So it's really two pages. I like to have that room. And then if you can see, I have Post-its everywhere. You'll see that in all my planners. And then the weekly is I kept with that simple layout, this one, with the week on 1 page, and then room to write stuff, and then the tracker. The tracker is important to me because happy tracking my things are incredibly important. My happy tracker has become one of the most important tracking elements in my planner, in any planner. I designed it in, or created the idea of a happy tracker in December 2019. I have proof. I have noticed that it's caught on with some people, which is cool. I like that other people are starting to call it happy tracking. But the idea of happy tracking, you guys, is really to raise your vibrations, like to make you feel good. For me, it's like to get closer to God. A lot of it has to do with spiritual stuff. Anyway, I showed that in another video. See? And then even here, I'm going to do a walkthrough of this when I'm completely done. But I'm at peace with this insert right now. Because you'll see that I keep going. Even in my Stayology, I would do a week on one page with a happy tracker and a place for notes. That's all in here. Look. Week on one page, happy tracker, and then this space would be this space empty, and I can do whatever I want. It's like that in all my weeks. So I tied that into a little pocket. So I'm taking elements from the different planners I've used and built something that will work. But if you notice, it's pretty simple. And then my day, like I mentioned, is just dot grid. See? Just dot grid, plain. So I can do whatever I want with it. And what I did for this, you guys, is I actually took a My Summer's Touch standard size dot grid insert and took the percentage and put it down to 65 and then cut it. It's exact width, and then I just cut like 4 or 5 dots up, and then that's the correct thing. So I'm using what I have. That's another thing about finding planner piece for me. For me personally, I feel really good when I use what I have and make it my own. And then my daughter's homeschool, this was an insert that I had and printed out, and it's actually a day on one page like this. But what I did is broke it into 4 pieces. I'll do a flip of this planner a little more in depth in another video, but I just wanted to show you that to find your piece in your planner, besides the fact that it's constantly going to evolve, is to use what you have and really work at it. You've got to try. It doesn't happen naturally. You've got to use your planner to find planner piece, which I'm guilty in. If you change your planner too much, you're gonna lose information, and I'm guilty of that. I switched sizes or inserts too much, and that's where I found myself out of planner piece. But when I stick with something at least for a month or a little more, it really helps. It really helps with the piece. Shoot, I stayed in this for 5 months, and I'm ready. I wanted to build, kind of switch it up a little bit, so I went to rings, which was familiar, but now I realize that the rings aren't really where I need to be. So anyway, I have my wallet in here, but this booklet is my project booklet, and my prayer booklet. So just basic blank pages. That's all I really need. See, some Toma River paper. You're gonna find more booklets with blank pages than anything else, because it's what works. And then this guy is my list book. I usually always have to have some sort of list book, list and reference, so I can break it down. And I always have a list section or a reference section in my planner as well. So to find planner piece does exist, but it constantly evolves. But to find it, you have to work for it. You've got to try things, and you've got to be uncomfortable for a little while to find your piece. But that's all I have to say. And check out CourtsPlan video. I feel like I didn't do a great job explaining what I feel like, what planner piece is for me, but I filmed this so many times, it's ridiculous. But if you have any questions or thoughts on planner piece, and if you have found it, some people can have piece in a system for years and years and years. That's amazing. But planner piece is not just one specific way. It depends on the person and evolves until if you're evolving, it's gonna evolve. And if you're not evolving and you're right where you need to be and set in your ways, and it will stay there with you. So in a way, it's a representation of you. So think about that. Until next time, you guys, I love you so much. Bye.